Talking with the experts.
Natalie Ledwell explains how to use the law of attraction for business success in episode 341.
Yeah, well, I mean, remember the movies are what people are creating their own. I mean, yeah, we have some that you can download for free and have a look at, and it gives you an idea of what you want. But to be able to describe this incredible, amazing business and life and love and health that you want in your life, and to be able to create a movie that describes all of that so that when you watch it, it makes you so excited, or it moves you to tears, or it makes you feel so much, love and accomplishment, that it actually helps you to, already see yourself there, and believe that it's going to happen. I mean, that was a big shift, and like I said, we had many different businesses that we had varying degrees of success. But it wasn't until we started applying all of the manifestation and law of attraction principles that we had outrageous success.
Welcome to Talking with the Experts. This is where we discuss great ideas to take your business to the next level. How do we know these ideas work? Well, it's because we're talking with business owners who are using these ideas. Business owners who have years of experience and expertise. All things business by business owners for business owners. And now, here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. You can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. And while you're over at YouTube, don't forget to click on the subscribe button and ding on that bell so that you know when each episode is uploaded. And I'd like to also remind you that I offer services of podcast production, so you can reach me at rose-davidson.com, and I'd be happy to chat with you about getting your podcast up and going. Now, today my guest is Dame Natalie Ledwell, and she is a best-selling author, host of the podcast Not Over, Just Different. She's the co-host of the cable TV show Wake Up and founder of Mind Movies, which is a hugely successful and revolutionary online personal development company that has reached over 10 million people worldwide. Welcome, Natalie, and thank you so much for joining me today. So tell me a little bit about how you got into the law of attraction and why it's really good for business success.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm Australian, obviously, and my husband and I were serial entrepreneurs. So we, when we first met, actually, my first career was in fitness. So I was managing fitness clubs from the age of 21, and I got to cut my business teeth on other people's business, which was really cool. And then I met my husband, and then of course our first business was a nightclub on Oxford Street in Sydney. So in the middle of everything, which was correct. We had 5 crazy years, which was harrowing and amazing and fun and all of that. And then after that, we kind of went through this, what I call my beige years, where we were just doing a whole ton of different businesses. Now, when I worked in fitness, I kind of felt like I was doing something positive and making a difference. It was, it was awesome. And then we had the nightclub, which was a bit of a sideways thing. And then, we just went, it's like we were going through the motions. We had property development, coffee franchises, health food business, bathroom advertising, you name it, we had our fingers in it. And I remember in 2006, sitting at my desk in my house in Dolls Point in Sydney, and I'm looking at my bills and I'm looking at the computer and I'm going, all right, what is going on here? I'm missing some vital piece of information, because I was a student of personal development. I got handed my first set of cassettes when I was 21 years old by one of my bosses, Brian Tracy. So I was, I knew how to set goals. I knew how to make a plan and do all of that. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And so a friend of mine said, look, why don't you download this movie? You got to order it online, the DVD online. It's called The Secret. Now, The Secret was all about the law of attraction. Now, I'd never heard the term the law of attraction before. And I remember it was a Saturday afternoon. We're sitting down, we're watching this movie together, and Glenn and I are looking at each other going, okay, this is the piece that we've been missing. And so what my biggest takeaway from that was, I would only set goals if I knew the whole plan. I need to know all the steps, because if I don't see all the steps, then I don't believe it's going to happen, right? So I'd only be setting myself really small goals. For Glenn, his big takeaway was, so when I visualize this future, I have to also add emotion. I have to feel what it's like to already be there. So not long after we saw the Secret, and at the time we had 4 different businesses we're running, and we're pedaling away. A friend approaches us with this idea of setting up a website with the instructions on how to make these things that we eventually started calling mind movies. So we realized that when you visualize what you want, most people will make a vision board or a dream board. So they'll cut out photos of the car they want and the house they want to live in on the vacation. So when they look at these pictures, it's easier for them to go in their mind and imagine themselves on that vacation or driving that car. Well, this little mind movie was like a slideshow that we help people to create with their own dreams and their own life and their own businesses and their own life that they wanted to create. And it's like a combination of affirmations that are describing what you want, with photos that match those affirmations. And then, of course, music is like the secret sauce, because it helps you to, elicit the emotion of what it's like to already be there. So that's kind of how we got, started in, well, that's how I discovered the law of attraction. And of course, when we started, the website and all of that, we didn't know anything about the internet. Actually, Glenn could hardly turn on a computer. And I hadn't even heard of YouTube, and this is back in 2007. And I'm like, when I understood, I'm like, okay, a social network. So you put your personal details on a website. I go, why would anyone do that? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. But that's where we started from. And then from there, we bought some programs that taught us how to do this internet marketing thing. We ended up coming over to the US. We went to an internet marketing seminar, got accepted into a mastermind group at that event, and stayed here for 5 months, working our butts off from a little apartment in San Diego, and did our big first online launch of Mind Movies.
Yeah, Mind Movies is great. I love it. I love the concept of it. And I've watched a few of the videos, and I think they're absolutely amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, remember the movies are what people are creating their own. I mean, yeah, we have some that you can download for free and have a look at, and it gives you an idea of what you want. But to be able to describe this incredible, amazing business and life and love and health that you want in your life, and to be able to create a movie that describes all of that, so that when you watch it, it makes you so excited, or it moves you to tears, or it makes you feel so much, love and accomplishment, that it actually helps you to, already see yourself there, and believe that it's going to happen. I mean, that was a big shift, and like I said, we had many different businesses we had varying degrees of success, but it wasn't until we started applying all of the manifestation and law of attraction principles that we had outrageous success. Like during the economic crisis, we did a $700,000 week selling a $97 program. It was insane. It defied the odds. But when you understand the mechanics of, applying the law of attraction like that, it's like you can do anything that you want, and we all have the ability to do that.
We do, and I think it's a lot to do with how you program your mind on, if you think lack, or you think sad, or you think whatever, and you don't think gratefulness, and you don't think joy, and you don't think happiness, and all those other things, then you get what you think. So
Right.
you need to keep your mind positive. And the law of attraction is like that. You attract what you think.
Yeah. Well, thoughts do create things, and they are the beginning of the whole process. Like nothing is created unless it came from thought first, right? And for me, I think it was when I understand, like you're saying, our brains are defaulted to the negative. We always think the negative. That is just how we normally think. So we have the ability to retrain our brain to focus on the positive, and one of the ways to do that, for me, is like through a gratitude practice. Now, I know if you've, ever watched Oprah, and I know she talks about this a lot, and, many people do, we talk about keeping a gratitude journal. Well, yeah, we should all be keeping a gratitude journal, and writing at least 3 to 5 things, new things every day in the journal. Now, when you are going throughout your day and you know that you have to write down 5 things at the end of the day, it's like you start to train yourself to look for something positive because you need to commit something to that. But beyond that, I also I choose one activity every day that's my trigger, or that's my reminder to drop into my gratefuls. So for me, it's when I take my little dog Bella out for her wee walk in the morning. That's when I just sort of stop and I drop in, and I'm like, I'm so grateful for the day. And I start to be grateful for things that are coming, things that are on their way to me, or I'm grateful for how everything's going to work out for me. If I have some business meetings or some negotiations or, videos or things that I need to do for the day, I'm already grateful for how well they're going to turn out. So, I'm grateful in advance. And the other thing I always recommend is if you have, a watch or a phone, that you set an alarm. You can set maybe 1 or even 2 a day where you kind of stop and drop and then be grateful for something in that moment. So again, it's awesome, especially if you're working and you've got a lot of stuff going on. You kind of go, wait, okay, sit back from the computer. I'm so grateful of this. So I'm so grateful. And it's, again, we're shifting and training our brain to look for the positive. And the more that we can do that, then the more we are in flow. Because what we realize is that, our emotions are the frequency that we're sending out into the universe. So if we're sending out high frequency emotions, so not just joy and happiness and gratitude, but things like courage and willingness and pride and accomplishment, then the more that we can sort of hang out in those higher frequencies, then the easier it is for us to be able to attract what it is that we need to, to create the business that we want.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I've only been practicing the law of attraction for a couple of years, and it's amazing what I've actually attracted that I'd wished for previously, but because I was in a negative space, these things, just seem to bypass me. And now that I think, more positively, and I'm practicing lots of gratitude every single day for just the smallest little things, so much stuff is coming towards me, and it's just amazing. It's amazing what the law of attraction can do. And it's really helping in my business. I've attracted lots of things that I had wished for, but as I said, bypassed me. Now they're sort of coming in and in different ways than I'd imagined them to be.
Yeah. Well, we're back when we were doing that initial launch, we're back in San Diego. It's 2008, and we're working 10, 12-hour days from our little bedroom in front of these computers. And we're learning stuff that's way beyond our capabilities because we didn't have any money to pay anyone, And so what we would do is that, when we were particularly stressed, we'd leave the apartment, we'd go and get a coffee, we'd go to the dog beach in San Diego. And, we left our 2 little Maltese terriers back in Australia. So being down there and seeing all these dogs happy and frolicking on the beach really helped us to get us out of that stress mode and help to elevate, our emotions and get us, in a happier place. And then when we were there, we would talk about what life looked like once the launch was a success. And this is when we're in the middle of the muck, and we would talk about how we only had to work 6 hours a day. And, we got to travel and take our families on holidays, and then we got respect from our peers, and for me it was always about, yeah, we're building this amazing team so that when we have this idea, we put it to the team and they make it happen. You know, all of these things came to fruition. You know, we had a mind movie specifically for that launch. You know, we talked about the type of customer, how many customers, the amount of money that we were making, you know, what life looked like on the other side of it, you know, all of those kind of things, because, you know, business, it goes through ebbs and flows, you know, as you know. And so when you can keep your eye on the prize, like where it is that you're ending up, you know, you understand, okay, this is a bit of a challenge right now. And for me, whenever challenges come up, I'm like, oh, okay, this is not planned. So what do I learn from this? Am I supposed to know something here? Am I supposed to learn something? Is there something that I need to change about myself to be able to move through this? And if I always look at it as that, like it's something that's happening for my highest good, not to, you know, sabotage me, but I look at it as, okay, this is a good thing. How do I make this a good thing for me? Then again, you're staying in those high frequency emotions and you're able to maneuver through these things, and they're just a little blip. You know, they don't completely derail you. And it's kind of important to keep that, you know, that eye on the prize and keep going, you know.
Absolutely. And in business, as you said, there's ebbs and flows in business all the time. It can't just be, you know, up here. There's got to be challenges thrown at you, and challenges aren't necessarily thrown at you to punish you or anything like that. They're sent for you to learn something. And you know, if you haven't learned the lesson, it'll just keep coming back to you all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like when I look back at, you know, when our friend Ryan came to Glenn and I with the idea of setting up the website and with Mind Movies, I mean, we had 4 businesses. We didn't need another business. We were like, you know, we need like a hole in the head right now. But when I remember that time, I'm like, okay, the reason we were so successful is, number one, we recognized that it was a good idea. But number 2, because of all the business experience we'd had in the past, we had the ability to capitalize on the idea. You know, and I look back at all those other businesses and I'm like, there is something from everything that we did that taught me something about business or about myself or about human nature or about the nature of business. You know, there was something that I garnered from every one of those things. It was like little breadcrumbs that were leading to, you know, this particular, you know, business. And that's why, you know, when a lot of people are like, okay, I want a business, but I'm not quite sure what it is. And, you know, I don't know if I'm on the right track. You know, all I can say is there's no such thing as the wrong choice here, because every road, every choice, everything is going to lead you to where you're going to be. And where you're going to be is you don't even know where that's going to be. You know, we've been doing Mind Movies for 12 years. I love it. But now, you know, I've been called to do this work in schools, and now Mind Movies is leading me into this kind of work. So, you know, the other thing, first of all, you can't make a wrong decision. And second of all, even if you make a decision now, doesn't mean you have to stay here for the rest of your life. It's just what you're doing now. And that's awesome. You know, so don't be afraid in making that choice.
Yeah, I've changed it. My business has morphed so many times. It doesn't, you know, I couldn't count them, because I thought what I was doing initially was the great thing, but then some idea, I'd have some epiphany somewhere and I think, oh, no, let's do that. And it's led me to where I am now, to, you know, having this successful podcast and, you know, meeting wonderful people. And, you know, some of us have become quite good friends through having a podcast. So it's an amazing experience. And, you know, the radio station is my next thing, like an online radio station. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing that. I was going to do it this year, but it's, even though the idea is wonderful, it's not yet the time to be doing it. There's universe has better things planned for me in the meantime. So I'm waiting, you know, to find the right time, because sometimes, you know, if you don't wait, it all falls to pieces, and it doesn't matter how much you plan and how much you know, manifest or whatever. It doesn't sit right. So it's just not the right time for me and not right time
Well,
for the
that's
radio station.
it's a good point that you bring up, Rose, because, as you're making the decisions, because sometimes, when you're, in this high frequency and you're kind of hanging out there most of the time, you do become a magnet for a lot of different opportunities. It just naturally gets attracted to you because that's the resonance that you're at. Now, it doesn't mean you have to say yes to them all, but the big question is, well, how do I discern? How do I know which one I should take and which one I shouldn't? And like you were just saying, it doesn't feel right just now. Well, you've got to listen to that. That's your intuition. And sometimes you may sit down and go, look, should I do this? Shouldn't I? And you can be logical and go the pros and cons and write all those out. But in the end, you kind of really need to carve out some quiet time and just sit by yourself and just go, how do I feel about the choice?
Yeah, for me, it's goosebumps.
Yeah. There you go.
That
I mean, I
particular-
like to do a little thing in the morning. I wake up because I know that when we're in theta brainwave activity, which is where we try to get to in meditation, we're very connected to the universe, to the unified field. But we are naturally in theta brainwave activity when we're waking up and when we're going to sleep. So as I'm waking up, my eyes are still closed. My brain's kicking in, and I'll have a question. And I ask the question, but then I stay quiet long enough to hear the answer. And we receive these answers different ways. For me, it kind of comes in like it's an idea, like a thought. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's really good. And it could be something like, how do I get this done? Or what's my next step here? Or, I'm really challenged with this, what do I need to do? And then I'll, wait for some inspiration to come in. But, making that quiet space, and I don't know how you receive your intuition, Rose, but, we all receive it a little bit differently. Sometimes it's a gut feeling or a body feeling, sometimes it's like you said, goosebumps. That's a great indication. I have a friend of mine that gets the goosebumps up the back of his neck.
Yeah.
The downloads, he looks like he's got Tourette's, it's like, whoa, okay, a message just came in. But, we all receive it differently, but it's important because, business, you can have business skills. Glenn and I have business skills. We know how to run any kind of business in any kind of industry. We've done it long enough. But to really have that extra, that extra success, that the stuff that you can't particularly plan for, the stuff that like $700,000 during a pandemic, like through a crisis. I mean, who would think that? When to have that kind of success, you do have to tap into your intuition. You do have to, be in this high frequency and kind of be clear about where it is that you want to end up. And then really keep that focus and keep those visualizations going and imagine yourself and the consistent action. You want to keep taking one step after the other.
That's it. Yeah. Just trying to move forward and try not to take too many steps backwards. Natalie, is there something that you'd like to share with us today? Some words of wisdom, some program, some tidbit?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, for me, it was actually adding this whole manifestation part. And, like I said, be in high frequency, be clear about what you want. You've got to be able to see this in your mind all the time. So what I recommend is that when you're trying to visualize this future that you want, especially if you're looking at your business, I always go, rather than seeing yourself as a character in a movie, actually put yourself in a moment as if it's happening now. So let's just say that in your business, you're getting to help people. You might not even be clear about what that is yet, but just imagine yourself across from someone and they're expressing their gratitude to you because your service or your knowledge or your coaching or whatever that was changed their life. Their life is so much better now, and it's affecting their kids, and they're so happy and grateful. And if you can put yourself in that moment, and maybe you're sitting on a chair and you can feel the chair underneath you, maybe you're sitting in an office and you can feel the air conditioning on your skin. Maybe you can smell a certain perfume or something that's happening in the room, or you've got coffee there and you can smell the coffee. Like really create like one moment and make it as real as possible, because your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference. It thinks it's actually happening now. And the more that you see that and play that, and you don't have to be sitting with your eyes closed to do that. You can be vacuuming the house or driving the car, and you can go on a little vacation to this moment in your future that you're going to be creating and feeling what it's like to be in that moment, and then taking that consistent action. That's what gets you to create anything that you want. And like I said, it doesn't matter where you come from or how beaten down you feel right now, or how old you think you may be. We all have the ability to do this.
Absolutely.
A little bit of effort in the beginning, but if you're consistent with it, and repetition and consistency is the key, the world is your oyster.
It is, absolutely. Natalie, I'd like to hear a little bit more about your podcast, if you'd like to share, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called Not Over, Just Different. And that's the phrase I coined when Glenn and I separated back in 2013. We're still business partners and we're still really good friends. And they're like, mate, our relationship isn't over. It's just transitioning into something different. But the purpose of the podcast is really for women of a respectable age, and opening up conversations and information about all the stuff that we go through at this time of our life that maybe we don't talk to as much with our girlfriends about, or we don't know how to broach that subject, or maybe we have a bit of shame or guilt around it. So I don't necessarily talk about law of attraction, but I talk about everything that us women are facing at this time of our life, which includes long-term marriage and dating and sex and hormones and health and everything in between. So it's you can find me on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and I invite you to come over and join some of the awesome conversations. Because like the Rose and I are doing now, it's a very candid conversation. It's very natural, but we want to really make sure that we are all getting the information that we need, so that this second part of our life, where we're still fit and healthy and now we're excited and we want to make a contribution, and we can make this second part of our lives even more exciting and more juicy and more amazing than the first half. So that's that's what the podcast is all about.
Oh yeah, I have to go and check that out. And Ellie, I'm interested to know if you've written any books.
I have. Actually, one is up on you can see up here on the, where are we? There. It's called Never in Your Wildest Dreams. That is actually a gift from my family. My family, from one of 8 kids from Orange in New South Wales. So for the longest time, they had no idea or what I was doing until the book came out. But they've all read the book. So that's the cover of the book that they all read, and they framed it for me.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah, I know, it's really sweet. And it's actually fiction. It's a story, which I didn't think I could write. It's basically a transformational novel. So it actually follows my heroine, Catherine, who's, she starts out, she's, unhappy, she's overweight, she's divorced, she's single, she's, in a career that she hates, which, I think a lot of us can relate to at some time of our life, and her journey on applying all these principles of manifestation and how she was able to create a beautiful life for herself. But the cool thing about the book is at the end of each of the chapters, there's a URL or a QR code. So you can go through to a video which is inside the chapter. So it's, basically talking the backstory of what's happening to the character, how it kind of relates to my life. And then we have some different tools and things that you can have that helps you to apply and embody, the principles that we're teaching in each of the chapters, which is pretty cool.
It's wonderful. Yeah, I'll have to go and check that one out as well.
Yeah.
Natalie, where can people find you if they'd like to learn more about you or to maybe work with you?
Yeah, so mindmovies.com is the main website. From there, you can access the podcast, a lot of free content, some free mind movies as well that you can download and get an idea. They give you a great idea of what it is that you want in your life. And you also get access to Mind Movies and all the other programs that we have there. So it's the main website to go to, and you actually get to even see a little video of Glenn and I talking about our story and our journey, which has been quite the ride, I can tell you.
Well, life wouldn't be interesting if there wasn't some interesting hills and dales and, all those things. I think it would be
Absolutely.
really boring.
Absolutely.
Natalie, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for giving up some of your time today to speak with me, and I hope we can talk to each other again soon.
Absolutely, darling. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Have a great one.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. Talking with the Experts.